Miracle, miracle, miracle. Just another experience, experience. They'll come to help us grow. Jesus is there, so now I know. Just another miracle, 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 and experience. Just another miracle, miracle, miracle. Just another experience, experience. They'll come to help us grow. Jesus is there, so now I know. Just another miracle, 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 and experience. Just another miracle, miracle, miracle. Just another experience, experience. They'll come to help us grow. Jesus is there, so now I know. Just another miracle, 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 and experience.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is me, Joshua, and I am the host of the Official Experience podcast. I want to thank you so much for coming on with me, joining me here once again on this Thursday here for Let's Talk Live. Do me a favor, go ahead if you're watching. You already know what to do. Light them hearts up in the chat. Put your name in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know who you are. Come on, I need to know all of that good stuff. I need that good energy going on in the comment section. Come on, put your name, say hello. Let me know who you are. I want to know it all because it's here. It's Let's Talk Live. Everybody has a voice, and this is the place where you can use your voice. Do me a favor. Don't be selfish with this live. Share this live with somebody. I don't care who it is. Send it in a text message. Put it on your Facebook. Put it on your Instagram. Do me a favor and go ahead and share this live. Listen, this live is important because we about to talk about something that I think us as African Americans, us as people, we don't talk about enough. And that is generational curses. What are they? Where do they come from? Why are they in existence? What do we do with them? How do we defeat them? How do we stay away from them? We about to get into all of it right here today on the Experience podcast. So like I said, do me a favor, make sure you share this. Share it. Make sure you like. And then on top of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Right now, we're at 150 subscribers. And listen, that might not seem like nothing to you, but it definitely feel like something to me because I remember when I only had none. So I'm excited. So, okay. On top of that, moving right along, I have a special person here with me to do this episode. Miss Janice Traylor. She is the author of Bits and Pieces. Hello. We got people saying hello in the chat. Hi, how you doing? What's going on? Let me know where you're watching from. Hello, I see you. I'm going to put the comments up here. But we have Miss Janice Traylor. She is the author of Bits and Pieces, all things Bits and Pieces. She is here. We're going to break down this generational curse conversation because I believe that she is a generational curse breaker. I know that I'm a generational curse breaker. And I believe that this is a conversation that is needed. So if you are a person who is going through generational curses, if you can recognize that there are generational curses in your family, you want to turn the volume up because you just might get a little bit more information that you need and that you can use that you didn't have when you clicked in on the episode. But I'm gonna go ahead and bring Miss Janice on out. Come on, Miss Janice. Say hello to everybody. I'm so glad you back rocking with me here on the Official Experience Podcast. Say hello to everybody. Okay. Miss Janice, can you hear me? Okay, so Miss Janice is gonna come out and come right back in. Can you hear me, Miss Janice? Okay, so she'll be right back. But anyway, we're gonna talk all things generational curses today. So, once again, if you know somebody who have suffered from generational curses, if you suffer from them, you don't want to miss this. But we got Miss Janice. We're gonna put her back on stage. Miss Janice, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Joshua. How are you?
I am doing good. I am doing good. I'm so glad that you back rocking here with us here on the Official Experience Podcast. How have you been feeling?
I've been feeling pretty good,
You've
Joshua.
been
I
feeling
really
pretty good.
have. Yeah.
Good, good, good. That's awesome. You know, I was just introducing the episode talking about generational curses and what better person than to have than first of all, an exceptional author. I mean, if you haven't purchased her book, you are missing out. You need to get her book. All you got to do, I have it right on the screen right now. Go to bitsandpiecespoetry.com. Grab this book. This is a book of healing. Before we get even further talking about generational curses, Miss Janice, do me a
Yeah.
favor. Tell
Yes.
people about this book.
Bits and pieces, huh?
Hmm.
Bits and pieces are it's my poetry. It's reflections. It talks about my life. It talks about me growing up. It talks about sexual abuse. It talks about
Mm,
alcoholism. It talks about
hmm.
emotional and verbal abuse.
Hmm.
But it also talks about, surviving it, being
Yeah.
strong, walking through it, and making it to the other side. Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you go and grab that book um, of Miss Janice. It's about bits and pieces. I read the book, and when I tell you, I always tell her that I remember when I was reading it because I was running errands, and I remember getting in the car, and I literally opened it to the middle of the book, and I was hooked. I couldn't put that thing down. And I guarantee you, you're going to be the same way. So make sure you go to her website, get the book, bitsandpiecespoetry.com. You don't just have to just go there. You can go to barnesandnoble.com. You can go to walmart.com. You can go pretty much to every major bookstore and purchase her book. And I guarantee you, it will not disappoint you. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask so Miss Janice can get us started. Miss
Yes.
Janice has some pieces that she's going to read. Go
Yes.
ahead. I see some hearts
I
going
do.
up. Keep them hearts coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Hello. How you doing? Hello. What's going on? Let us know where you're watching from. Do me a favor, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe to the channel, please. Make sure you share it. But Miss Janice, if you can, go
Yes.
ahead and read something for us to get us
Okay.
started. The floor
Okay.
is yours. I'm going to decrease for just a
Okay.
minute and allow you to increase and give us something.
Well, thank you, Joshua.
You're
What
welcome.
I really want to do is, so I spoke about being the interruption before. And I also wrote a piece called At the Intersection, which talks about pretty much the same thing when you get to that point in your life where now you have to make a decision. Do you want to keep repeating the same cycle, or do you want something new for yourself and make, better choices, better decisions? But I wrote a piece that kind of give you guys an outline of how I saw my life. Um, I'll say see my life in the middle of this curse, because understand that you're always affected. You're always going to be at that intersection. You're going, because you're going to always be presented with something. You just never know when you will be. But I'm going to read something that I wrote called generational. um, Sometimes I feel like I'm not just in pain, I'm carrying it. Generational pain that leaves fingerprints, the kind that knows my name, knows where to find me, knows how to repeat itself until it feels like fate. It moves in patterns and loops and cycles, dressed up as destiny, repeating itself over and over and over again until I start to wonder if I've been chosen for this. Chosen to suffer, but also built to survive it. Built with a backbone that bends but does not break. With a spirit trained to take the blow, then another, and still stand long enough to tell the truth. Maybe that's my assignment. I think it is my assignment. To endure the story, it doesn't die in silence. To hurt so healing has a witness. To be bruised and beaten so that hope can have a body. That's me. I am the one they talk about. I am the one they ignore. I'm the one they use, they twist, they misunderstand, and paint as the villain because it's easier than to face the mirror. I am made to look bad so others can stay comfortable. But what they don't see is that I am not the curse. I'm the interruption. I am the proof that the pattern can be named, that the cycle can be exposed, that pain doesn't get the last word. I didn't choose this role, but I am standing in it. I'm scared, I'm aware, but I'm also still here. And if I'm talked about, let it be because I survived. If I'm ignored, let it be because my truth was too loud. If I am used, let it be known that I turn pain into purpose. Because someone has to be the one who carries it long enough to end it. And somehow, or just maybe, that someone is me. So there you have it. So I wrote a little piece, and that's just to kind of give you an understanding of coming from a generational curse, being the interruption, and then walking into being at the intersection.
That is powerful. I need everybody to put something. Go ahead, put something in the chat. If you watching, even if you watching the replay later, put something in the chat on what we just heard. Listen, when you mentioned the fact that you didn't ask for it, but you're standing in the middle of it,
Yes.
that is a lot of times a generational curse.
Yes.
We don't ask for the different things that the generational lineages bring. Let's just be honest. And
Yes.
so I guess that leads me to kind of talk about what is a generational curse. What is a generational curse? You know, I guess I'll let you go first in your own words. What is a generational curse, Miss Janice?
A generational curse is, I think, it's learned behaviors and it's taught to you. Um, you're raised to think that it's normal.
Hmm.
Generational curse can be patterns of addiction, patterns of emotional abuse, verbal abuse, cycles of ending up in unhealthy relationships, and growing up thinking this is normal. But
Hmm.
it's not. But it's not normal. It's actually unhealthy and it's
Hmm.
dysfunctional. Um, the thing about being the interrupter is the person who decides I no longer want this. I no longer want this for myself. I don't want it for my family, but I can't control
Hmm.
my family, but I can
Hmm.
control myself. I don't want this for myself.
Yeah.
So when you decide against it, you kind of cause an interruption because a lot of times, there are ones who benefit from you being in a cycle with them. So
Say that again. Say that again. Say that again. That is powerful. You got to say that again.
there are some who benefit from you being in a cycle with them. Yes.
I never realized it until I stepped out of that part of my life where I was walking, breathing, living in a cesspool of a generational curse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anger, being a liar,
Mm-hmm.
being a bully, being a person who just wasn't able to be dependable to tell the truth. I think you have lying, and then I just think you have it where it's like you just can't tell the truth. Like at this point, is it lying? Because to you, you're not lying. Like, is it really lying? And I had to kind of realize there was a point in my life where, yes, we do know it is telling lies, but there was a point in my life where it was just like, I just couldn't tell the truth. And so I remember when I finally got to a point where it was like, I'm telling the truth every day. I don't care. You can say I'm telling too much information, but I got to tell the truth because I know that God has delivered me from a generational curse. But then I remember the moment where I noticed, wait a minute. So you benefited when I was insecure.
Absolutely.
You benefited when I didn't have confidence. You benefited when I never could stand on my own. And that's when certain friends, certain people I really had to cut off because
You have to.
wow, okay, so you really you were a part of this cycle that I was kind of going in. And while I was leaning on you, you was actually part of the reason why I was still in the cycle.
Yes, they were
Like,
keeping, yep, pulling you back
yeah,
into it.
that's
Every
deep.
time you tried to get out, they would snatch you back in because,
Yeah, that's deep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in my opinion, a generational curse is that thing that's in the veins, right?
Mm,
I look at it like, mother and father lay down, and when they lay down to be intimate, whether they were trying to or not, they end up both getting up, and the mother end up carrying everything she's been going through, plus what the father's been going through, and now there has become a life that has been allowed to come into conception. And the moment that life comes into conception, everything that was in the mother and everything that was in the father now is transferred into this
to the
to
child.
this to this dot.
Yes, yes,
And as that child grows, there's a life, that there's a cycle, there's a system outside of the mother's belly,
yes,
right?
yes,
Whether she's drinking or not, there's people around her that may be drinking. Whether she's cursing or not, there's people around her that is cursing. Whether she's getting beat or not, there's people around her that are either beating or getting beaten.
yes.
And if they're of the same relation, of the same generation, all of that is just being poured into
The child.
the child. And so, you know, before the child is even born, they're born in a whole situation of dysfunction.
Yes,
And so as this child grow, certain things becomes, especially in African American family, I'm just keeping it real. Oh, that's just how we are.
because it's
Oh,
because it's
that's
because it's
just how we
normal.
do. And it's
Because
just
it's normal.
like, yeah, but that's a little dysfunctional. Like, why every time you do that, it makes me feel a certain kind of way. Like, when I walk away, I feel something. When that is done, and that's been, and so to me, that's what a generational curse is. And to me, that's how they come. They come through, in my opinion, they come through people not wanting to stand up and fight. That's just, I think right now in my life, I'm pertinent on the things that once overtook me will never overtake me again. Because if I let it overtake me again and I die in it overtaking me, then that means whoever comes after me is going to have the same battle that I didn't stand up to fight. And to me, that's what happens with generational curses.
Yes, yes. And let's be honest, it's
Hmm.
going to take more than one person
Mm,
to be the interruption. Like
mm,
I consider myself an interrupter, but it's going
yeah.
to take way more than me to
That's
interrupt
true.
the whole,
Yeah.
family, and
Mhm.
stop this thing. It's just one of those things that you just hope that
Yeah.
you have a great impact, that you
Mm.
started something, that maybe if some people witness what you're doing, they'll pick it up and continue it moving forward.
Yeah, it's kind of like you hope to have a domino
Yes.
that you try your best to, if you picture how the dominoes are stacked up, you try your best to be that first domino. And it's
Yes.
like if I can pivot myself good enough, I can knock all the other ones down.
Yes.
And sometimes that don't happen. And I think I know for me the hardest part about being a generational curse breaker and being an interruption is interrupting.
Mhm.
Like that's so hard.
Mhm.
Having that spirit on your life where God created you to interrupt patterns,
Yeah.
to expose things, to that is hard.
It is hard, and I tell you, and
That's,
along with it being hard comes a whole lot of other stuff, because you end up realizing how alone you really are.
that's true.
You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
being an interrupter can really be a little lonesome sometimes because you end up by yourself, and it's you look at like you're the crazy one.
That's true.
You
Yeah.
tripping. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Right. Right. Right.
And then you find that you got 20 people over here and you stand over here by yourself. You walking
Hmm.
that way, they walking that way. It's like,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
know
It's
that's not the way to go, but they're going that way because it's beneficial.
say that
If
again.
I'm making
Say
sense.
that again. Say that
if,
again.
if I'm making sense, yes.
You making so much sense. Listen, man, you just ripped off a whole nother band-aid, okay?
Yes.
Because the reality is that is how it is.
Yes.
Like 30 people will be going this way, and it's like you know
Yeah.
that way is crazy.
Yeah.
But
You
for
do.
some reason, and I think part of being an interruption and being an interrupter is getting comfortable with watching people go into their doom.
Mm. Yeah, or just saying, why are you still doing this?
Yeah, I know.
It's causing you pain. It's hurting you, but you just keep doing it. Why didn't you
Yeah.
get it? But
Mhm.
you have to let people get to certain points,
Yeah.
on their own. Some
Yeah.
people,
Yeah, that's
what they
true.
say, hit their rock bottom. It's like,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true because a lot of times us as people who God has created to really carry his light in a
yes.
way where even if I have to stand alone, because I'm like that. I mean, I remember God told me to quit a job, and I was like, okay, I quit. I remember that this place, and this was before, man. y- This was before the Trump we know now.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was, I mean, we knew he was, off kilter, but
Mm-hmm.
this was when he had a, he kind of had a little bit more excuses, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And I mean, this place was like major supporters of his. And I mean, come to find out, this place, they supposed to have been a Christian place.
Mm-hmm.
This place was the most demonic. It was crazy. And God was like, get up out of there. Like, get up out of there. And I'm like, but Lord, I don't have another job. And he's like, I didn't tell you to leave your last job to work here. You wanted to come here because
So,
you thought it was better. And I was just like, oh. And I remember, I had a meeting with the leaders of, now mind you, this is a Christian organization. And
mm-hmm.
I remember having a meeting with the leaders, and we were in the meeting, and they're like, and I'm just telling them like all of this stuff that you all are doing, it's so worldly. And I can't get into so many other details because it would obviously, tell who what the company is. But anyway, I remember when I was just like, all of this is just so against God. Like for us to be this Christian organization and you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this and you're kind of fooling people and conning people and I'm using scripture and to the point where one of the leaders cried in the meeting. So you knew that I was interrupting something.
Mm,
I mean, this
yeah.
person literally started crying, like crying tears. I mean, and even asked me, like, what should I do? And I'm like, you should repent and pray and ask God, like, to forgive you and tell you what you should do. I mean, if I'm a little peon and I'm coming to you, imagine what you could do if you have this conversation with people higher than you.
Yes.
And I say all that to say, still went left.
Still.
like you know what I'm saying? Like you still went over the rickety bridge with
Yeah.
lava all underneath. And I say all that to say that that is part of also being a generational curse breaker, like, or being an interrupter, as you say. And I love how you so eloquently say that. Being an interrupter, being an interruption, because a lot of times, and this is a gem for somebody, just because God called you to interrupt doesn't mean that it's going to actually debunk.
That's true.
Just because God has called you to interrupt doesn't mean you're going to debunk the whole system. It
Right.
doesn't mean that you're going
Exactly.
to, like, and that's the hard part about, carrying that load of, I've anointed you, I've chosen you, you mentioned that in what you read, like I've chosen you to interrupt. But a
Yes.
lot of times we don't realize just because we chosen to interrupt doesn't mean is necessarily going to ignite the
Hmm.
chain to truly cause everything to change.
No, being an interruption is not necessarily about stopping it in as much as it
Mm,
is causing attention to it, giving it a name,
wow.
making it noticed, putting it out in the forefront. You see this. Stop pretending like you don't see this. You see it.
Mm.
You know why? Why are
It's
you?
not about changing it, it's about giving it a
Yeah,
name.
you already know what this alcoholism, uh, what drinking does. Why are you still doing that? And you also know
Hmm.
that when you get drunk, you're being verbally abusive and you're being horrible to people. Why you
Hmm.
keep repeating? People keep telling you this over and over and over. You just keep doing it. It's like
Hmm.
So like I said, being the interruption is not always about stopping it. I
Hmm.
don't think that's what it is. I think it's so much. I think it just means causing attention to it. You know,
Mm. Yeah.
getting everyone to take a look and say, this is a problem. This needs to stop.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Stop manipulating people. Stop, treating people any kind of way. Stop. It's just a lot that comes along with it. But
That's
you
true.
know, generational curses it's so many layers, to it. But once you're
Mhm.
taught a certain thing, that's what you go out in the world and do because that's
That's
what you
true.
were given.
Yeah.
So, if you've been in this alcoholic family for a while, now you done become an adult, you go out here in your life and now you're with an alcoholic or you've become an
Mm.
alcoholic. And now you're
Hmm.
teaching your children this, You've been
Yeah.
verbally abused, so now you're out here, verbally abusing your own children. You've
Hmm.
been whooping and beating on your kids, now you whooping and beat. You know what I'm saying? Now they done picked that up. Now here they
Yeah,
go. Now they
for
got
sure.
kids. Now they
Now
whooping
they
kids.
got
And you
kids
like,
in
oh
there.
my God, like,
Yeah, that's true.
this has to stop. It
It
has to.
has to.
Yeah.
And it literally, I'm glad you said that. Like, for anybody that's watching, when it comes to having generational curses,
Yes.
so how do we identify them is one question that we want to make sure we answer on this episode, which is give it a name.
Give it a name.
Every generational curse have a name. The
Yeah.
Bible tells us in Proverbs, I believe it's Proverbs. Come on, Lord. Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Listen, you have to give it a name.
Have to.
I always say there's nothing worse that I don't like than a biased person. I
Mm.
I can't stand a biased person. There has to be a point where you're gonna take a side.
You have to choose.
Period. I
Yes.
can't stand. I can't. That you want to burn me up. Be a person who don't know how to pick a side. I can't. I can't. Even Jesus pick a side. Come on. Like, because seriously, you have to stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
Ooh, true
And
that.
so, the first thing you have to do, if you want to break a generational curse, you have to put a name to it.
You do.
And sometimes that causes you to research, like, because I found myself, even with my family, right? I found myself like, Lord, what is this? Like, what is it? Because a lot of times with generational curses, you want to lash out at the family who's behaving under the curse, but they don't know they under the curse. So if you lash out at them, then now you're looking like you're under the curse. So it leads you back to God, like, Lord, what the heck is this? And sometimes he'll just reveal, like, whatever it is, he'll just reveal, like, yeah, yo sixth cousin twice removed
Mm.
was a murderer. And we don't know that six generations ago we had a cousin that went into a school and shot everybody up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so generational curses like that come into families. Like, a lot of times when I see those mass murderers and those shooters and stuff
Yeah.
of them schools, like, you don't know who in their lineage dealt with the murderous spirit. You know what I'm saying? That spirit where, like, they killed somebody.
Mhm.
And another thing I've learned, generational curses come back even more wickeder than the generation that it started.
It does.
You
It,
know?
it, it does. Yeah. Absolutely. Because it don't multiply. It stay multiply.
Mm-hmm. It
Cycles.
grows.
Yes, it
Yeah.
grows.
It
Absolutely.
grows. That
Hmm.
thing grows legs. It grows arms. It builds a new house. If it had two houses on the fourth generation, the fifth generation, it got a whole mansion.
Yeah.
Like, it got a
Exactly.
whole mansion. It can
Exactly.
hold a lot. And so it's just, yeah, it's important to first give it a name. Give it a
Hmm.
name. And then, I think on top of giving it a name, when it comes to identify it, you got to understand the pattern of it too.
Yeah. You got
Like,
to pick.
understand the pattern.
Yeah, that's what happened with me. Once
Hmm.
I left home, and then I started, got my own place, and now I'm out here, and now I'm dating, and I got a boyfriend, and oops, he's an alcoholic. Oops, he's abusive. He's
Mm-hmm.
talking to me any kind of way. But then, well, my mom said, "Oh, don't pay your dad no attention. Yeah, it'll boil over." So
Mm.
now you telling yourself, you see what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
just kind
that's
of
deep.
goes on. It just goes on and on. And so, it got to the point where, after a while, I started questioning. Like, I would ask
Hmm.
my mom, like, "Mom, why are you still here? Why you
Hmm.
let that treat you?" She like, "Oh, that's just your dad." And it's like, no, Mom, that's not good. You know in yourself this is not good.
Hmm.
You're looking at the pattern, you're looking at this abuse, and you're saying to yourself that
Yeah.
it's happening. But then you go out here in your own life, and now you find yourself in the middle of it, and you find yourself accepting the same thing.
Mm.
And then at some point you wake up. Now you're at the intersection. This is what the intersection is about. You wake
Hmm.
up one day and find yourself at the point where you say, "Do I want to continue this, or do I want to stop this?
Mm.
Do I want to go this
Yeah.
way? Do I want to go that way? Because I'm tired of this. I'm tired of
Hmm.
I'm tired of
Hmm.
living this way. I'm tired of accepting this." You end up in situations way longer than you should be. Why? Because you were trying to be loyal to something that you were taught. You were being loyal to that thing.
Mm. That's true. That's an idol.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
took me a long time to learn, when you are loyal to something you are taught, that's idolatry.
Yeah.
Like, that's idolatry, especially if it's wrong. And you feel, I always call it that pity pat. You feel that pity pat in the chest telling you, like, you need to handle this, and you don't handle it. Like,
Mm,
that's, yeah, that's
yeah.
that's idolatry.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have to pray and ask God how to handle it. Because especially when, you know, it's family, right? We all have family. I have family that are under generational curses, that are older than me, that I can't just go to and say, hey, snap out of that curse, you know. So that's where you have to kind of pray and like really seek the guidance from God. But you still have to be at that intersection where it's like, I can't do this no more. You know, like this, I can't do, I can't, I can't do this no more. I gotta roll this way. And if I gotta pull a Rahab where I gotta lie and say they ain't on the roof just to get by, when they really on the roof, then I gotta do that because I can't do this no more. You know what I'm saying? Like it gotta come a point where you desire to be free. You know what I'm saying? Like it gotta come a point when you desire to be free after you identify that it is a generational curse. You've
Yeah,
given it a name.
you get tired of carrying that. It's heavy. That's
Yeah,
weight. It's extra
it
weight.
is.
Yeah,
It is. It is weight and it blocks progress.
yeah.
It blocks progress. So if you rocking with us, do me a favor. Please subscribe to the channel. This is the Experience Podcast with me, your host, Joshua. I have Miss Janice here. She is the author of Bits and Pieces. I call her my modern Maya Angelou because she always has some kind of spoken word in some shape or form to help us get through. You know, life is hard. And so today we're talking all things generational curses. I think we each can attest, whoever's watching, we each can attest to going through generational curses. Some of us are dealing with it with our health. Some of us are dealing with it with our wealth. Some of us are dealing with it with our weight. Some of us are dealing with it with addictions, various things that some of us in life are dealing with. And it all starts with being under generational curses. And so now Miss Janice has something else that I want her to read, if she don't mind.
Okay.
Um, she mentioned something about being at the intersection.
Okay. Hold on one
And
moment
so
because I'm all confused here.
that's okay. That's okay. Or you can read whatever you want to read next. It
No,
doesn't
no, no.
matter.
I got it right here. You want
Okay.
me to
Okay.
read it? So I did an
Okay.
article. I did an
Hmm.
article. You know, the first article was "I Am the Interruption." Well, I did one called
Hmm.
"At the Intersection," and I also write for an app called Substack. So, you know, if you ever want to read a little bit, if you go over to Substacks and look me up, I'm on there and I put articles on there. But this one is called At the Intersection, and it goes like this. I've learned that most people want things to be simple, good or bad, blessed or broken, healed or harmed. But generation, but generational work doesn't live in extremes. It lives at the intersection. The place where curses and blessings exist at the same time. The place where pain is real, but so is purpose. The place where you can grieve what passed down while honoring what survived. That's where I stand. I come from a lineage that carried wounds that it didn't know how to heal, patterns that repeated themselves because no one had the language or the safety to interrupt them. That pain is real, and naming it matters. But I also come from people who endured, who prayed, who hoped beyond their circumstances, who believed, even quietly, that something better was possible for the generation that followed. And I think today I'm speaking for some of my ancestors, actually. Both things are true. What wasn't healed became the curse. What refused to die became the blessing. And somewhere between the two, a responsibility is born. Being the interruption doesn't mean rejecting where you're coming from. It means seeing it clearly. It means refusing to romanticize pain or erase the resilience. It means understanding that you can honor your ancestors without repeating their suffering. Hmm. Some of us are standing in the middle of unfinished work. We inherited survival, but not peace, strength, but not rest, faith, but not freedom. So the work becomes this: to keep what sustained us and release what harmed us. That kind of discernment is not accidental, it's generational. Maybe that's why it feels heavy and sacred and lonely. Because when you stand at the intersection, you see everything: the cost, the hope, the loss, the possibility. Not everything that shaped you deserves to stay with you, but everything that shaped you deserves to be acknowledged. That's how curses end. That's how blessings continue at the intersection. Nothing is wasted and nothing is blindly repeated
Good God Almighty,
at the intersection.
man, that girl good. Y'all hear that, Miss Janice? You bad, man.
I can't hear you, Joshua.
You bad. That was great. That was great. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Ooh.
Just another miracle, miracle, miracle. Just another experience, experience, experience. They'll come to help us grow. Jesus is there, so now I know. Just another miracle, 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 and experience, experience, experience.
All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me
I
now?
can't hear anything.
Okay.
Wow.
Can you hear me?
I'll go
Okay.
out and see if I can come back in. I'll try
Okay.
again. I'll
Okay,
try
y'all. We
again.
having some technical difficulties. The enemy is always busy. He trying to stop what we doing over here, but it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. We are live and we are happy to be live. And so Miss Janice just got finished reading. Can you hear me, Miss Janice? Okay, Miss Janice just got finished reading At the Intersection. Do me a favor. If you are watching this later, go ahead and put hashtag replay. And once again, we were talking about generational curses. We were talking about how to identify them. One thing that we realized on how to identify generational curses is to give that thing a name. Okay. Give it a name. Give it a name. Miss Janice, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
Okay.
now.
Okay. That's okay. It happened to me too. I had to leave out. I had to come back in. I played the intro song just to kind of buy some time. Listen, it's all good in the hood, as they say. It's all good. I was just basically filling some time, just letting everybody know we won't be on too much longer. But I was just letting everybody know that we basically got finished listening to you give the intersection. You know, I must ask some questions. What inspired you to write the intersection?
Ooh. Getting tired of ending up at the same place at the same time. Like the same, like this, the repeated cycle, like ending up in the middle of the same cycle over and
Mm-hmm.
over, and keep asking myself, how do I keep ending up here? Why? Why am I here? Why?
Okay.
And then
Okay.
once I asked myself that, really asked myself that, really thought about why I was here.
Hmm.
Now it's time I started doing something about it. So that's the intersection. Do I do the easy thing and just be like, it just is what it is. This just life.
Mm. Yeah.
Or do I say, no, this needs to stop because I'm really truly unhappy with it, with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's hard work. I
Yeah.
mean, realizing that you're stuck in the middle of a pattern that you didn't create first. I'm gonna keep it real. You got to get over the anger.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I had to. I had to get over, like, when I was caught in drug addiction. I had to really get over the fact of there was people in my family before me that were addicted to not just drugs, but were addicted to things that they did not want to fight.
Mm.
Because it come a point in time to a person who's been delivered from drug addiction where you get tired of being addicted to stuff that has a control over you, whether it's
Yes.
cigarettes, ecstasy, Molly, marijuana, crack cocaine, no matter what the drug is.
Yeah.
It comes a point where if God getting ready to pull you out, you gonna get tired of that thing. Like, you gonna
Yeah.
get tired of that. You're gonna get tired of your everything wanting something that you don't want.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know and so I remember it had got to the point where people people I knew would ridicule me and say stuff about me to me about what I was doing. But it's like, you 20 years ago you was doing it. If it wasn't for you doing it, I probably wouldn't even be. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, it came a
Yeah.
point where, you
Yeah.
know where it was like, man, like, if you would have fought, would I have, would I have done it? Maybe, but maybe I would have had a better chance at fighting, because I do believe in generational curses. I do. I really, really do. So
Yeah.
when it comes to generational curses and overcoming them, you've created something that can really help people overcome generational curses. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? The
Mhm.
worksheet and the different
Oh,
tools and
yeah.
affirmations
Oh,
and things that.
gotcha. I would love to. I would
That's
love
okay.
I would love to. So I created a worksheet. Give me one
Mhm.
moment here. And I'm hoping that, maybe if you don't have a pen and paper, you guys, please take out a pen and paper because
Mhm.
I did a I am the interruption worksheet. And basically, what it does is it asks this question so that you can take a look at yourself and see if you are acting from a
Mm.
generational curse or if you are being affected by a generational curse.
I like this.
So, one of my questions, and I have four questions here, but one is, what patterns have I normalized that no longer serve me?
Mm.
So, what's in your life that's a pattern that you feel like is not serving you, that's affecting you in a negative way?
Mm.
And where am I afraid to draw a boundary? And who am I afraid to draw a boundary with?
Now, pause right there. Say that again. That's
Where am I
powerful.
afraid to draw a boundary, or who am I afraid to draw a boundary with?
Yeah, a lot of times we fear drawing boundaries with people
Yeah.
because we don't know how it would look on the other side.
Yep. Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
And that
You're
could be a product of a generational curse.
absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely.
Okay.
And who benefits from your silence? Who benefits from you not talking about it? Who
Wow.
benefits from you not calling it out or giving it a name and saying, "Hey, I don't like that, and I need that to stop, or I want that to stop"? Who?
Hmm.
Um,
Mm.
what would the interruption look like in your life? What would that look like to you if you were to interrupt the generational curse? What would that look like to you?
Mm. That's deep.
Yeah,
This is
just
some
a
good
few
stuff.
reflection questions, just to kind of get
Yeah.
you, take a look, at
Yeah.
yourself, your own situation, and
Hmm.
maybe
Yeah.
you can become an interrupter.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Who benefits from your silence. That's powerful. That's
Yeah.
powerful. Somebody put that in the chat if you can. If somebody's watching, put that in the chat. Who benefits from your silence?
Yes.
That is deep.
Yes.
We got to ask ourselves that question. I'm gonna be honest. I have a saying where it's like when I feel like I can't voice how I feel, I don't like that.
Mm-mm.
You know, Mm, I have to. I have to be able to tell how I feel because I'm one of those people where a lot of times how I feel I don't necessarily sometimes I don't know how to put it in words, especially if it's something that's gut wrenching or heart wrenching. It's one of those things where I may not know how to put it in words, you know, especially if I get hurt, if I feel hurt or I feel offended, um, I may not necessarily know how to put it in words. And so today there was a situation where I was, working on something and somebody wanted to come into my personal space. And I said, nope, I'm going to go over there and meet them because ultimately I don't know what energy you bring in, and I don't want you to come to my space
Mhm.
because the first thing we do is we get silent. That's automatically the first thing we do when we feel uncomfortable. And the moment we get silent is when people benefit from it. So in that moment, I was like, "Yeah, nah, I'm not gonna let you come over here. I'll come over to your area. I'll
Gotcha.
come, I'll come and meet you because this is where I have to be, to make sure I do what I'm supposed to do. And I don't need whatever energy you're coming with. I don't want that to come over here because believe it or not, when people come into our sacred spaces, they make a deposit.
Mhm.
So you saying that really, really, really spoke.
Yeah.
Really, really spoke. So do you have some affirmations that you can give some people, Miss Janice? Do you have any positive words you can give some
Yeah.
people when it
Yeah.
comes to being the interrupter, being the interruption?
Yeah. I actually wrote down a few things today. Another thing I wrote down was some journaling prompts, and this is just something to get you to kind of, journal, write it out,
Hmm.
talk about your feelings with yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes just to make sense of it, say it out loud. And to me, saying it out
Mm.
loud is writing it on paper because now
Yeah.
you get to look back at that and read that and say,
That's
"Wow,
true.
I wrote that.
Yeah,
I
that's
felt
true.
that way that day." You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, a couple of journaling prompts I put down is, I recognize the cycle in my life. How do you
Mm.
recognize the cycle in your life? What is the cost of continuing it?
Mm. Powerful.
What is the cost of interrupting it?
Mm.
If I choose myself, what does that mean?
Mm.
Because at some point, you have to choose you.
That's true.
What I meant by being silent is, you know, we've been taught to be quiet about things. You know, sometimes people are
Yeah.
afraid to speak up. Hey, you hurt my feelings.
Mm.
Something as simple as that. I wrote a poem about, when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to
Hmm.
have feelings. I was told that your feelings don't matter.
That's not
So
true.
I don't want to hear it. And so I wrote a poem that says, I was not allowed to have feelings or to make my feelings known,
Mm.
or how to love or to be loved properly. I was never shown. To love
Mm.
or to be loved, well, that doesn't last long. This is why I walk this earth alone. But I wrote that because that's how I felt, because I was so deep into the cycle. I just
Hmm.
felt like I was stuck in these types of relationships or these types
Yeah.
of things, and scared to speak up
Hmm.
about it. So, write it down, talk about it. If you choose yourself, what does that mean?
Hmm.
You know? And then I wrote down three affirmations. And, hopefully this will help. Um, I am allowed to end what harms me.
That's deep. Say that again.
I am allowed to end what harms me.
Most people, most people don't leave the things that harm them because they don't believe that they can.
Exactly.
And I think that's so powerful
Exactly. Yep.
to to know like, you have the power to leave whatever it is that got a hold on you. Like that's deep. Like that's a that's a positive. Like that's a I like that one. I think people need to hear that one more time, Miss Janice.
I am allowed to end what harms me.
Mm. Whether that's that family member who always have something negative to say about you,
Yep.
whether that's that
Yep.
employee that you work with that always has something negative to say about you,
Yep.
whether that's that friend that for some reason y'all just it just ain't never nothing good coming out their mouth. And I'm
Yes.
sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but 9 times out of 10,
Yep.
they really ain't your friend.
Yeah.
So you have the power to end that.
Yes.
And I think that's something that a lot of times we as people, we don't roll with knowing that we have power. And I always say, I know I got power because I got Jesus. But ultimately,
Say that.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
we still human and we still get in them moments where it's like,
Yes.
do I really have power? Like, am I really, really like, do I have power to end this cycle? Do I got power to end this situation? Do I got power to end this generational curse? Yes, you got
Yes, you
power.
do. Yes, you do.
Yes, you got power. Okay, Miss Janice, I'm done interrupting you. Go ahead.
You're fine. You're fine. My next one is I'm allowed to break patterns.
Mm,
I'm
mm.
allowed to break patterns.
That's deep. You
Yeah.
know, us as humans, we're creatures of habit. We like comfortability. We like what feels good. Let's just keep it real. We like familiar. I
Yes.
know I do. Prime example, I was getting lunch today and I always get a turkey wrap. So yesterday, there's this young lady. She always make the turkey wrap for me. She's really nice. Um, we both get excited when I go to get my lunch because I'm a connection type of person. So once I feel you got a good vibe, you got a good connection, and she always like I don't care who's in line, she's gonna make my turkey wrap, and she's such a sweet young lady. And so yesterday she was like, "You never tried it on a panini?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I think I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that next time." And she was like, "Okay." So today she ready for me to try it on a panini. I was like, she was
That's
like, "We doing a panini today?" I'm like, "No, I'm an old man at heart. I'm a creature of habit." And I didn't try the panini. I didn't. I stuck with the regular, the regular rap. And I say that to say because the reality is that's us as humans. Like we don't like breaking the pattern. Like we don't like breaking the pattern. And that goes for the negative things in our life. Like we don't like breaking the cycle. We don't like breaking the pattern. We do this because this is how they did it. And we don't even know why they did it that way, but that's how they did. Every prime example, like I still don't know why people shoot guns on New Year's. Like, why do they do that? You know what
again
I'm
one of
saying?
those things that's just it was taught over. It just keeps going on and on and on. People think every year
Yeah,
is what they're supposed to do.
it's a pattern. Yeah.
It is.
Okay. All right.
I have
Sorry to
one
cut you
more.
off, Miss Janice.
I have
Okay,
one
go ahead.
more.
Go
Just
ahead.
one more, and it's about
Okay.
what we talked about today.
Okay.
I am allowed to be the interruption.
Uh,
I'm
I'm
allowed.
allowed to be the interruption. That's
Yes.
powerful.
Yes.
That's powerful.
Yes.
Whoever's watching this, you know, whether you watching the replay later, whether you watching now, I know I just went live on Facebook recently, so you have to probably go to YouTube to watch the whole thing. But you are allowed to be the interruption.
Yeah.
Like you're allowed to interrupt some things. Somebody put that in the chat. You allowed to interrupt some things.
Things.
Like you
So,
can interrupt some things. Like seriously, like certain things ain't going. I'm just keeping it real. The older I get, you know, the more mature I get. certain things I'm just not having.
Mm.
I'm going to interrupt it. I'm going to interrupt it. I'm going to speak on it. Because the reality is, when we don't, we carry it on the inside. We carry it on the inside. So we become snappy, snarky. We get upset with people. I know I do. When I'm carrying all that stuff on that gook on the inside, all because I don't want to speak up and speak out against something. Yes, I'm allowed to be the interruption. That's what
Yes, you
I'm
are.
talking about.
Yes.
Yes, you are allowed to be the interruption. You are allowed. We all are allowed. And whatever friend group you in, family you're in, friendship you're in, whatever, shoot, even your church, you allowed to be the interruption. That doesn't mean, let me get that straight.
There
That
you
don't
go.
mean go up in your church acting out of control. No, that doesn't mean that. What that means is work for the greater good to interrupt the things that are not right.
Absolutely.
Because ultimately, that's what we put down here for. We put down here to carry the light, to be light bearers. And so it's important that we make sure we do that. Miss Janice, do you got something else you want to drop in our spirit? Something else you want to read for us? I know you got
Um,
something.
no, I
Thank you
just
so
want to
much.
leave a little something. I just want to tell
Mhm.
people that, once you name something, you take away its power over you.
No, say that again.
Once you name something, you take away its power over you. So I just want to leave you with, that if you feel like you're stuck in something, if you feel like you're stuck in a cycle, name it. Name that cycle, name what it is. Don't let nobody make you feel crazy for your
Mm,
truth. It's okay to name it and to tell your truth. Yeah.
mm. That's powerful. Quay Lee said, perfectly said.
Yeah. Yep. Once you name something.
That's true. Because the reality is, I always say, you can't fight what you can't see.
Hmm.
Can't fight what you can't see. Whether it's domestic violence. Next week we'll have Laura Cowan on. Um, on March 16th, she'll be on about domestic violence.
Okay.
And so we're gonna have a whole episode about domestic violence and surviving that and what that looks like. But the reality is, each bit and piece that we have, right? Each bit and piece that we gotta own that. And in order for us to own that, we got to get to a point where it's like, look, this is what I'm going to take and this is what I'm not going to take. Like, this is
Yeah.
what I'm going to allow and this is not what I'm going to allow. And God is going to test us.
Yes.
That's one thing I've learned. He's going to test and see, okay, now you said if I deliver you out of that, you said if I get you out of that you
Mm-hmm.
would never let this happen again. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm allowing you and I'm telling you, listen, that is some of the hardest tests to go through because once you done prayed and cried and done went through and God done delivered you, I would say you probably got 2 months off. And after them 2 months, he bringing it back around. He bringing that thing back around. He's going to let you face the same thing. And this time, he's like, do you really have the strength? Do you have the discernment? You mentioned that a little bit ago. Do you
Yeah.
have the discernment to be like, you know what? I recognize this. I recognize what you're trying to do. No, absolutely not. Because ultimately, a lot of times, the people that be trying to thwart you and what you got going on, a lot of times they haven't even stood up to fight the generational curses that they got going on.
Yeah.
So it just can become two people that are succumbing to some cycle, some system that ultimately nobody will be able to escape. So we
Yeah.
gotta we gotta go forward. We gotta go forward. Any last words, Miss Janice? Any last words? I know you said what you just said, but is there any last words? You know how we do. We be on here.
No,
We be rocking out.
I'm just thankful for everyone coming out,
Okay.
sitting with us, talking with us
Yeah.
about these
Yeah.
generational curses, being the interruption, being at the intersection. Listen, my word, be an interrupter. Be the one that caused the change. Be the
Yeah.
one that says, hey, enough is enough. This has to stop here, because it has to be at least one in every family, um, that stands up and does
True.
that. So yeah.
Yeah. The Bible say one can chase 1,000. So if one person in one family would stand up, that mean look at the thousands that we can chase,
Yeah.
you know? And so I guess the last words I would say is, you know, don't give the enemy access.
Mm,
A lot of times we do that. A lot of times we give the enemy access. Be careful who hand you shake. Be careful who word you receive. Everything somebody, listen, there has been times I have been in meetings, I'm talking about in a professional setting, and somebody say something and I'm like, I don't receive that. Like I don't
yeah.
receive it.
Yeah.
There's been times I've been at a store and I'm like, yeah, I don't receive that.
Yeah.
There's times I've been, you know, even in personal settings, and I'm like, yeah, I don't receive that. Be careful in this season what you give the enemy access to,
Mm,
especially your heart. The Bible says from your heart flows the issues of life. So if you don't protect your heart, and a lot of people think that's this, no, this is your heart spiritually. This is your heart. The Bible say cast down imaginations and any high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God. So anything that tries to come into your mind, that is your heart. That's the heart that God is telling you to protect. The Bible says be sober minded, for the enemy walks around like a roaring lion looking to devour. So it's important for us to make sure that we don't give the enemy access. Put that in the chat, somebody. Don't give the enemy access. Don't give him access to your emotions. Don't give him access to your finances. Everybody that asks you for money doesn't need your money. They may need money, they just may not need your money,
yeah.
right? Because we all need money, and I'm gonna be honest. When people ask me for money, I say I'll buy you something to eat. The other day, a young man got the cursing when I said I won't give you money, but I'll buy you something to eat. So they let me know you didn't need my money. You need money, but you don't need mine,
Mm,
right? Let's just make sure we don't give the enemy access, because in these times we need to do like the Bible said as believers, stay sober minded, right? And
mhm.
then the last thing I would say is stop carrying the mistakes of the people who went on before us. That's one thing I struggle with too, right? A lot of times we want to fix the mistakes of people who went on before us, or people in our families who haven't quite rose up to the occasion. But the only thing we can do is be responsible for what we can be responsible for.
Mm,
Love the way God want us to love, care for people the way that God want us to care for people. We can't engulf ourselves in what our brothers didn't do, or what our sisters didn't do, or what our friends didn't do. The only thing we can do is try to be the best that we can be. My sister told me all the time, she tells me, don't look back, go forward,
mm.
because it's easy to look back, but it's hard to look forward. So I hope that helps somebody. I hope this entire episode helps somebody. Miss Janice been rocking out with me for one whole hour. She's the best. Miss Janice is
Thank
listen,
you.
everybody need a Miss Janice in their life. Make sure you like this podcast. Make sure you share it. If you watch it on Facebook, do me a favor, hop on over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Rewatch the entire episode. We had a great time. We will be back March 16th. That's when Let's Talk Live will be back. We're going to take a week break off for some personal things. But we will be back March 16th with the one and only Laura Cowan. If you have not watched Laura Cowan movie on Lifetime, make sure you go watch it. The Girl in the Garage, the Laura Cowan story. She will be here in the studio March 16th talking about how she survived, talking about her movie, talking about domestic violence, and discussing her bits and pieces. All right. All right. So I want to thank y'all for rocking out with me. You have been the best. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, and we out.
Just another miracle, miracle, miracle. Just another experience, experience, experience. They'll come to help us grow. Jesus is there, so now I know. Just another miracle, 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 and experience. Just another miracle, miracle, miracle. Just another experience, experience, experience. They'll come to help us grow. Jesus is there, so now I know. Just another miracle, 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 and experience. Just another miracle, miracle, miracle. Just another experience.